Alright, so welcome back everyone. So now we have everything set up, so let's get into coding. The first thing we will learn is how to execute commands on the system. So if you are a hacker, you will often need to execute commands on the system, whether it is your own system or victim machine. So what you would want to do is to execute commands. Go has a certain package that enables you to execute system commands. So before we go into creating our code, let's first set up our directory structure that will help us as we move along. So in order to set it, first I am currently in my home directory. So what you would want to do is go to this Go folder, and then inside this Go folder, go to this source where we will code everything, and here create a new folder called Golang hacking. So we will develop all our projects inside this folder. Once you have built this, the next step you would want to do is just open this and create a new folder called execute commands. So this is the first module that we will cover, in which we will learn how to execute system commands. So what are system commands? System commands are basically nothing but whatever we write in our, let's just go to home. So whatever we write in our terminal, this is a command and it has an associated output. So let's say we want to check which files are present in our directory. So we will write the list command ls, and you can see that it lists out all the directories and files that are present in this current directory. So our goal is to create something like that, a program that will run commands according to our wishes. So in order to create it, we will develop this program at the moment just for Linux, but the procedure will be exactly the same for Windows as well, except for few minor changes which we will look into later. Okay, so the first thing we need is a module or a package that will help us to execute commands. So Go has a very important module called OS, which has a sub package called execute, and this package helps us to execute system commands. So the first step we would want to do is to import it. So we can say import, and then we can give the name of the package. So the name of the package would be OS. So it's a part of OS. So whenever you write OS, if you are using Golang, you will see that you will see suggestions for different sub packages. So currently I am interested in this package, which is OS/execute. So I'm going to double click it. So now you can see that it says an error because it is not used at the moment. So now I will go here, and first we will define which command we want to use. So let's say we want to find out, actually let's just try the ls command, which will list out the directory or files in our current directory. So we can name this variable as the command to execute, or just command is fine. And then we will set it to list, and then we will use this package to execute it. So in order to execute it, we can simply call this package execute, and you can see that it has several methods. So the method we are interested in is called command, and it requires the strings and arguments of that string. So I can write, or I can use this function, and then you can see that it requires the actual command. So we can put the command here, and then if you go to the documentation, you will see that command returns the command struct to execute the command and the named program with given arguments. So basically what this function does is that it executes command and returns an object, which is not the output but a command, a special type in Golang. So I'm going to call this as command object. And now at the moment we have an object, but what we are interested in is the standard output. So what this command outputs. So in order to access the output, what we can do is we can either save it in a variable, or we can display it on the screen. So what I would like to do in this section is to display the output on screen. So what we have to do is we have to set the command object output. So you can use this command object, and if you want to access its methods and fields, you can simply press dot, and now you can see you have different options. So you can see we have an option called standard error and standard output. So at the moment we are interested in output of this command, so we can write std out. And the next thing we will like to do is we would want to set this output to our standard output, which is the output of this terminal. So we will like the output to be displayed on this terminal. So we can set it to os.stdout. So it will take in the output from this command and it will print it on the screen because we are setting it to the output value. And then similarly we can do the same for error. So if we receive an error, we can do the same process as well. So we can say command object dot std error is equal to os dot std error. Now that you can see that I just wrote os dot std out, and Golang automatically imported this OS module. So this may not be the same for your IDE if you are using a different IDE. So you may have to import this OS manually. Now we have set all the parameters of this command object that are relevant to us. The next step we would want to do is to simply call a method called run, which will actually run this command. So we can say command object dot run, and this would return this command. And if there is an error in running this command, it will return an error object. So if you go to the documentation, you can see that run starts a specific commands and waits for it to complete. And if you check here, you can see that command.run returns an error. We can simply check for the error. So if error is not equal to nil, we can simply print out this error. So we can say log.fatal and then error. So I'm using log.fatal because this will exit the program if there is an error in running this program. So now we have our program complete. So let's just run it. So in order to run this file, which is main.go, I have to use a certain command, which is go run main.go. So if I press enter, you will see that let's just clear the screen and try again. And now you can see that we have an output called main.go. So in this directory, which is p1_execute_commands, we only have one file, which is main.go. So it lists only one file here. So let's say we change the command and set the command to the present date. Let's say we want to check the date. So currently if I write it in my terminal, you will see that I get the date. But if I run this file, so go run main.go, and now you can see we get the same output. So we can see that our program is working perfectly. We can also check if it can handle error properly as well. So let's say we misspell it. Instead of date, we write date 3. And we run main.go, and now you can see that it says date 3 executable file not found in path. So this is handling the error because the shell or bash is thinking that this date 3 is a file instead of an actual command. So let's go back to it and run it again, and you can see that it runs perfectly. So now you know how to run or execute commands on a system. This will help us in creating our programs, for example creating our ARP spoof program, which we will develop later, and also when we build a reverse shell in which we will run commands on Windows machine from our own PC. So this is the basic of executing commands. So I'm going to stop here. In next lecture we will proceed further.